Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 130 of Photo Critiques. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard that I'm not accepting any new images for critique, so please don't send me in any more images. I've been getting them in every day, and I'm sorry I won't be able to do them. I'll be doing critiques for a while because I have a backlog to get through, so I'll be doing them through January and into February, but I'm not accepting any new ones. Now, if you're curious, if you hadn't heard as to why, click the link below and you could read a short article I wrote that explains why I'm not going to be doing critiques anymore and what I'm going to be doing instead of critiques. So check that out. Now, as I mentioned, this is episode 130, and in this episode I'm pleased to critique the work of Rick Matthews. And Rick sent me in some travel shots, and he says he has thousands of travel shots, and he sent me in quite a few, so let's get through them. This first one I like a lot. Looks like it was a point and shoot camera, but it did a really nice job. And Rick told me he processed them, I think he said in Lightroom 4 and 5. And really nice shot. The only thing I could suggest here is we need something down here. In this boat here, it looked like it was coming towards you. So if you could have waited just a little bit and maybe it would go over into here somewhere. Maybe you could position yourself so it's not right here, but maybe over here or over here. I think it would have pushed the shot over the top. So we need just this boat, or any boat, down here. This is a really nice shot. I like the processing. I like the idea. We have this leading line of the road as it goes away. Very well done. We do have this water bottle. It's kind of out of place, so it adds a little interest. Somebody looks at that. What's that water bottle doing there? But I think we need a person in this shot. It's just an empty street. The colors are beautiful. The processing's really nice. But I think it would be super interesting if there was a person down here. This shot too, it's a beautiful shot, a beautiful scene, but it's just devoid of people. And if we had a person down here, or maybe somebody up on one of these balconies, it would just push the shot over the top. So I think all this shot needs is a person to make it really a travel shot you'd see in a travel magazine. It is a beautiful shot. This is a scene that is photographed a lot in Venice. This is a very common area to stand and take a shot. I've seen this scene a zillion times, but I don't remember ever seeing it in black and white, so it's really cool to see it like that. It's very well done. We have some people in this shot, and it's just really, really nice. It's too bad this boat here is just a little bit cut off, but I don't think it distracts from the shot too much. It's a nice shot. This is a nice shot. We have some people here. Kind of shows the street and people walking along. We have leading lines, receding lines taking us through the shot, and as the buildings kind of curve around out of the frame. So it's really nice. I think in this one we need a foreground element. I think it would help this shot a lot just to give you something to look at in the foreground, and then as you go off and follow the rest of the scene. So I'm not sure what you could have incorporated in the foreground, but it comes down to working the scene. I like the processing here, and I like the mist, and I like how this is really, misted out, and it gets more defined as you go to the right. What I don't care for much is this foreground element here. Now, I know you guys are thinking I'm a nut. I keep saying, well, this one needs a foreground element, this one needs a foreground element, and then we finally get one with a foreground element, and I tell you I don't like it. And the reason why I don't like it, it's really not attractive. It's not really adding to the shot. Now, if these flowers were in bloom, like beautiful colors, and you got real close to those and shot over the top of them, so you had like these beautiful in bloom flowers in like the lower fifth of the frame, and then the rest of the shot was misty water with this bridge, that's an interesting and foreground element that adds to the image. So what it comes down to again is working the scene. Work the scene, see if you could get a something that's more interesting, more attractive in the foreground. It's a really nice shot too. I like the idea. We kind of see how this frost kind of ended right, cross on the wood here, but this thing is all frosted, this leaf. One thing, if you're going to be back from a typical, like let's say macro subject, even though strictly this probably isn't a macro shot, but if you're going to be back a ways, so you're showing stuff all around it, It's best not to have it right in the middle. So you'd have it off to the upper right a little bit, upper left, lower, whatever. Just move it off to one of the sides a little bit and up or down just slightly. In this case, maybe over here would have been a better composition. If in this case, if you zoom way in, do let's say a vertical shot, and you're just going to have this leaf, that's fine. You could have that right in the middle, of course, because you're zoomed way in anyways. So you have that in the middle. But if you're out a little bit, you're zoomed out, and you're showing a lot of the surrounding area, don't have it right in the middle. It's a really nice shot. This kind of layers. We have interesting foreground here with this broken up ice. Then we have water, then we have mist, then we have clouds, and then we have the bridge that slices through the middle of it. It's a really nice composition. I like the processing in black and white. It's really well done. This is a really nice shot too. I like the composition. We have this, again, this thing slicing right through the middle, which is this branch. And then we have, it's a busy background, but right where the subject is, it isn't busy. It's all open there, so it's really nice. The only thing, it's a little far away. So if it was a strict picture of the bird, you're going to sell this to some birding club, birding magazine, they wouldn't probably buy it because you really can't see the bird. But from an artistic point of view, it's a really, really nice shot. It's so small, I'm thinking maybe you even cropped it a little bit to get it this size. Let's see. Yeah, 1200 by 900. So I'm sure you cropped it down to get it even this close, and you were at 300 millimeters. That's why wildlife photography, it could be very expensive because we need generally very, very long glass and very fast glass. So what I mean by that is you probably need like a 400 to 600 millimeter, let's say a 400 millimeter lens with a 1.4 teleconverter, and then you're going to need it really fast too. So you could do it in lower light situations. So that's why wildlife photography can be very expensive. And if you're on a budget and you even have a decent lens, which is a 70 to 300, it's going to be a decent lens, it still might not be good enough to really get those close, tight wildlife shots you see in National Geographic and stuff like that. But then every once in a while you do a great shot, and here is a really nice shot, very well done. This is 1/1600th of a second, and you look at that hummingbird, we still have some blur in the tips of the wings, and you want that. You don't, if you're photographing hummingbirds specifically, you want a tiny bit of blur in the wings, and Rick did it perfectly on this shot. And the reason being is if the wings were totally frozen, we're at 1/4000th of a second, and these wings, there was no motion at all. It doesn't look real. The bird doesn't look like it's really flying. It looks like it's just floating in space. So we got to make it look like it's flying. So this is very well done. The same thing could be said if you're photographing airplanes with propellers. You don't want to shoot it's such a fast shutter speed that you freeze the propeller because it looks like the airplane's just floating in air. You want the propellers to be blurry. So you got to find the right shutter speed. Usually with prop airplanes, it depends on how fast the propellers are spinning, but usually it's around 1/125th to 1/300th of a second in there somewhere, and you'll still get the motion of the propeller, but the rest of the plane usually, and sometimes you have to pan with it, but the rest of the plane will be perfectly crisp and clear, no blur. And back to this bird at 1/1600th of a second, you can see it just froze the body of the bird, but we have this motion in the tips, which gives that feeling that the bird is actually flying and not just floating there. So it's a really nice shot, very well done. This composition here, I like the colors. I like that the bridge coming through, very nice. It's the foreground elements again. We have this boat cut off and this tree cut off. Now, this comes down to work in the scene. Commonly, usually, you like to have odd numbers. So we have two boats. Generally, now I always say generally because there's always times when this doesn't hold true, but generally you kind of would rather have one boat or three boats or 5 boats. It's for some reason the way our minds work as humans. We like odd numbers when it comes to things. So if you're doing a landscape of a lone tree, 1 tree's good. 2 trees might not be as interesting. 3 trees, though, might be more interesting. It's just the way it works. So we have 2 boats here. It's okay if you want to get both boats in, but you have to get them all the way in. So this one's cut off. This tree's partially cut off. The other thing is you don't want them to overlap generally, so you don't want one subject overlapping another subject. We have 2 subjects in this photograph. We have the boat and we have the bridge are the 2 subjects. The sunset and the sky and the water are the backdrop. So you have stuff in front of the backdrop. Now, what's nice is this boat is not overlapping that bridge. So if this was at a wholly different angle and this boat was like blocking out part of the bridge, it's generally not as appealing. You want some separation on these 2 subjects. So that's nice. The only thing I don't like is this right here. So we have to work the scene to either eliminate this boat or walk down here and drag this boat out of the scene, and then we have to deal with this tree. We either get it all the way in or all the way out, and then just work the scene. And I think it would really, again, as I've said a few times in this critique, it would push this shot over the top. This is a nice shot. This is there's not like a strong subject in the shot, so it's more of a study on color and contrasting colors. So it's nice. We just need something, I think, for scale. So if there was a person on this beach here, that would show some scale, because we really can't tell how big everything is here. We got the waves, we have these cliffs, but if there was a person on the beach here and the person was that tall, then we know this is kind of small. But if the person is really tiny, then it gives you some idea of the scale. It's a nice shot. This is where we have that one item in the photograph, and it's really nice. I like the processing. The sky is beautiful. This is another one where you could probably take a dozen pictures here, different angles, different placing the boat in different areas, use different focal lengths, things like that. But I like this shot. What you might too, I say this often, I haven't said this in maybe 2 critiques, is you might want to add a vignette on this shot. And the vignette helps draw the viewer's interest and gaze towards the middle of the shot. So there's without the vignette, and there is with the vignette. So if you add a slight vignette like that on shots like this, usually, in my opinion, helps the shot. This is, the one boat. We have the nice windy day, so it's unfurled the flag. It's nice. This shot I don't care for as much as the other shot. It's just bullseyed. It's right in the middle. We have all this area down here which is taking up a big part of the shot. Whereas over here it is, but it's not quite as noticeable, and it's definitely not as noticeable since I added the vignette. But here, because the boat is less prominent, this boat is sticking up into the frame more. This boat is low and not as prominent. We kind of could see all this down here, which isn't interesting. The sky is nice. The town in the background's nice. But this is another one where we have to work the scene. This is nice. The composition is nice. We got this moon just doesn't look natural there, though. It kind of looks like it was just plopped there. I like that there's a car on here and there's a person here. It's adds scale as you look at it. We can see how big it is. Down here isn't very attractive, so it's another one where you could work the scene, move around, get different angles and different types of shots. This is, just a straight sunset. The sun, the sky is beautiful. Water, is interesting. We have some nice contrasting color. We have this warm color up here, very cool color down here, and then some more warmth down here. So it's interesting. I think it more if we had a person on the beach, something on the beach, some foreground element would really help this shot. A rock formation, something like that, and it would make the shot more interesting. like the shot. We have some really strong side light on the lady's face, but she has a an older face, older weathered face. It really helps bring out every little wrinkle, which makes it interesting. I'm not sure she's be too thrilled about it, but it's really an interesting shot. This is a nice shot. We got a very long shutter speed. I don't have any info up here of how long it was, but I'm sure it was, at least a few seconds. The flow looks pretty good, so I would say it was probably about a 3 to 5 second shot. And very nice focus, very nice. I like this a lot. This is another one. You kind of go, not every shot you would want to have a vignette, but on some of the shots. And on this one here, you might want a vignette. There's before, there's after. This is a nice shot too. The sky isn't very interesting, and you minimized it a little bit by pointing down and getting this down here, and getting the swirls and the mist. And it's a nice composition. Again, though, we need something for scale. So I don't know how safe it is to have people out here, but if there was a person here, it would help this shot a lot. I encourage everyone to. I subscribe to National Geographic, not because I'm so smart I got to read National Geographic, is because I look at the photographs and I look at the pictures, and the whenever they are in exotic locations and they're photographing rapids and waterfalls and stuff, there's almost always a person in the shot. They have somebody in the shot, and it just adds scale and adds interest to the shot. So if someone was standing here, they're not necessarily the subject of the shot. They're just in there to add scale, and it really helps our brain understand the scene better. This too, this one first of all is crooked. I mean, it's really crooked. I'm pretty sure that the landscape isn't down to the left like this, because all this water would fall off this way. So this is really, really crooked, and it's a lot of times for artistic reasons we tilt our camera. A lot of times we do a portrait and we'll tilt our camera, or we'll photograph macro and tilt our camera, or even like a street lamp or something weird, we'll tilt our camera. But generally, when you're doing a landscape of the earth, you want it level. You don't want to tilt your camera. So in this case here, if let me see if I could just do it by eye. It's quite a bit, so we want it level. I think it would help the shot a lot. Again, though, if we could have a person in here for scale, something just to add scale. But I really like the processing on this shot. Really well done. Very nice. Got it really saturated blues, but then all the greens and everything don't have a blue cast on them, and we don't have that telltale sign of overprocessing where everything is surrounded with kind of a white halo. So really well done. This shot here is, interesting in the processing is we have this like really cool color over here, and then over here we just have this really warmth over here, and it's really interesting in that regard. The composition itself, though, we need something else in this shot. We just have this, which is right in the middle, vertically and horizontally, but we don't have anything else to add to the shot. So I think a boat, something else in this shot, bird flying through the sky that was relatively close to the camera, something to add to this shot, and it would help it a lot. I think that's the last one. Yep, it is. Yep, that's it. Rick, thank you very much for sharing your shots with us. Very, very talented travel photographer. I really do appreciate you sending them in. And I'd like to thank everyone who watches all my videos. I really appreciate it. And if you guys have time, go over to my website, anthonymorganti.com. I have all kinds of photography stuff over there. And if you can, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd really appreciate that. And that's it for now. I'll talk to you guys soon.